2020 marks the beginning of a brand new championship, the ESET iSERIES. The inaugural season will see 29 real-world races take on each other in virtual GT3 cars at some of the best racetracks of Central Europe. Five double race events will be contested in Hungary, Austria, Croatia, Slovakia and the Czech Republic. Round 1 will take place at the Hungaroring, just outside Hungary's capital of Budapest. Hello and welcome to our brand new studio. In the world that has been largely locked down by the coronavirus pandemic, hardly any motorsport has been taking place, which is why virtual racing has been immensely popular over the past weeks. And now even the teams and drivers of the ESET Cup decided that they want to try their hand at online racing. So let's take a look at the 29 strong field that we will be greeting into the brand new series and its first season. We have cars of 8 different brands and some notable entries in the starting list. Let's see, for example, Jiří Navrátil, or we also have Petr Fulin, the European Touring Car Champion. We also have young Joachim Galaš taking place, and Gabriela Jilková, one of female drivers on the starting grid. We also have truck racing champion David Vršecký, Josef Záruba, or the proven World Touring Car race winner Maťo Homola, and also past 2 champions of the ESET V4 Cup from 2015 and 2017, Stefan Rosina and Jakub Knoll. And so we are joining the on-track action for the qualifying, which is nearing the midway distance. 10-minute qualifying session will be contested at each race weekend, and its results will decide the starting order for the first race of the weekend. 25 minutes of running, and then we also have second race, also 25 minutes. Starting order will be decided by the results of the race number 1. So lots of on-track action to be had. Let's take a look at the standings. We have Pavel Gelner currently leading the standings, nearing the midway mark of the qualifying. Petr Fulin shortly after him in P2. You see the gap being really very small right now, a 10.5, which on a track that is 4,381 meters, awesome, 2.7 miles long, is really not very much indeed. Bartek Mirický, he has been really fast in the pre-season testing. Also Josef Záruba, who's just now jumped into third, slotted in there and also dived down under the 147 mark. Maťo Homola, P5 currently, 147.5, so that's already a little bit more significant gap. And then the rest of the field is opening up a little bit more, but we still have the second half of qualifying to go. So plenty of time for our racing drivers to improve and jump ahead up in the order. Pavel Gelner leading the way, 146.6 in front of Petr Fulin. He was also very fast in the pre-season testing. In P6 we have Filip Sládečka, then René Martinek, an Austrian guy, although his name might not suggest so. Gabriela Jilková currently slotting in P8, 148.8. Šimon Ladňák P9, and then Petr Čížek completing the top 10 currently. But as you can see, towards the bottom end of the standings, there are still several drivers who are yet to set a lap time. Most notably, for example, Jakub Knoll or David Vršecký. We're expecting these two to be really fast in the season. Michal Makeš, he was also one of the fastest during pre-season tryouts. Currently with the time well over 2 minutes. He'll definitely get under that mark in the coming moments. David Vršecký currently P15 and look at that right now, already under a second away from P1, so we already have 15 or more drivers. Yeah, 15 drivers within a second. This is a very twisty and technical track, and for the GT3 cars it is a big challenge because they are maybe, let's say, more suited to faster open tracks. Hungaroring has been called the Mickey Mouse circuit in the past, and as you can see, it's definitely worth the name because it's tight and twisty, and chances for overtaking are very scarce. Michał Primožič currently in P8. He shot himself up into top 10, just in front of Filip Sladečka, whom we are watching right now in his Lamborghini Huracan. Some 77 thousandths of a second from his nearest competitor. Pavel Gelner managed to improve even further, 146.447, which means that Pavel Gelner is defending very well from his nearest rival Petr Fulín, 146.4. Look at that, 7 thousandths of a second between the first two, splitting the guys currently on the provisional front row of the grid. That is incredibly tight. So let's take a look at the track from Pavel Gelner's point of view. Let's take a ride with him in his Porsche 911, slightly missing the first apex in the chicane. Joachim Galaš with the Mercedes, some 0.3 of a second away from pole currently. Entering what will definitely be his last attempt for an improvement. This is Batsky in P6, and look at that. Only 1/10 of a second away from pole in P6. So the qualifying has been really tight so far. You see that the gaps are just minimal between the drivers. Petr Fulín. This is a great demonstration of how closely fought this championship really might be, because 7 thousandths of a second from P1 to P2, that's virtually nothing really. So the dying seconds of qualifying ticking down, and then we'll see who will stay on pole, or be on pole actually. Pavel Gelner holding for P1 currently, 146.447, still in front of Petr Fulín, Joachim Galaš, Josef Záruba, David Němček managed to jump up into 5th. Then we have Maťo Homola, Bartek Mirecký, Michał Primožič, Jan Černý and Michal Makeš completing the top 10. Michal Makeš already finished his last flying lap, so he will not be improving any further, but he still might be jumped by somebody else. Petr Fulín, P2. And it seems that that's it from the former European Touring Car champion. Pavel Gelner holding on to the pole position, and he even improved his lap time. Let's see that, 146.332. So Pavel Gelner only cemented his position at the top of the grid, defending his place from all the other drivers. Joachim Galaš remaining 3rd in front of Josef Záruba, David Němček. Matej Homola also completed his last lap without improvements, 146.9. That will leave him 6th. Bartek Mirecki. We may have expected Bartek Mirecki a little bit higher up the grid, but it's P7 for him. Michal Primožič in 8th. And then Jan Černý, Michal Makeš completing the top 10. So let's see some other notable drivers way further down the grid. Gabriela Jilková in P19. So that was the qualifying, and we know the starting grid for our first ever ESET iSERIES race of the season. First of the 2 of the round 1 in the season, and we will be joined by Josef Záruba, who managed to be among the front runners in the qualifying. So let's hear from Josef Záruba. We'll see if we manage to get him on the line, and we'll also see the results of qualifying so that you can take a look at the starting grid for the first race of the season. As we mentioned, Gabriela Jilková way down the order, same for David Vershecky and some other big names in the starting grid. So that was the qualifying for the first race of the season. Definitely will be excited to see the first racing action this season, and who will be probably the most brave down to the first turn of the circuit. It's quite a long run, let's say, because the starting finish straight was extended in front of 2003 season, so some 17 years ago, and then we have a pretty tight hairpin as the turn 1. We'll see nearly 30 cars taking full race action just in a few minutes, and we'll see if all drivers will manage to slot in. So this is the standing. This is the order for the race 1. Pavel Gelner on pole from Petr Fulín, Josef Záruba P3. Then we have David Němček, first of the Slovakian drivers. Joachim Galáš P5. So we should have Josef Záruba on the line, and Josef managed to qualify really well because he is P3. So Josef, congratulations on the first qualifying session, P3. Are you satisfied with your lap?
Yeah, there was some. Thank you, first of all, and then there were a few mistakes, but P4 is not bad, so I'm quite satisfied. But I'm not that happy as these 2 guys here behind me. So they are happy, and that's the most important thing, that Broniek and Giri are happy. So.
But as you can see, you have your team right next to you, so they'll be cheering up for you. What are your expectations, and maybe even their expectations from the first race?
I hope I'm just gonna keep the pace up with the Porsche, and we'll see if I can manage to overtake them, and we'll see. But I'm gonna do my best and hope for win. And you guys? Ciao. Ty máš taky něco říct?
I was actually going to ask one last question before we go racing. Are the guys right behind you letting you drive quietly, or are they giving you hints, giving you maybe a little push? Are they giving you some suggestions for the first turn of the race?
I don't know. I hope there won't be any pushes, because in the first race at Imola, I got pushed from P2 in the first corner. So I hope this race is gonna be all right. And there will be no pushes and no dirty racing, and it's gonna be fair and good.
Okay, thank you very much, and best of luck for the first race of the season. Hope everything goes well.
Thank you.
So that was Josef Záruba after his first qualifying session of the season. Same goes for us, and we are really ready and excited for the first racing action here at Hungaroring, which will take place really very soon. So we're expecting the first race of the season in a few minutes, and we'll see Pavel Gelner on the front row of the grid. Pavel Gelner, a Czech driver for the Vekra racing team. Alongside him on the first row, Another Porsche 911 driven by Petr Fulin, racing for Fulin Race Academy. And then Joachim Galaš in P3, and then Josef Záruba that we spoke to just a few moments ago. David Němček in P5, Bartek Mirecký P6, Maťo Homola P7, and he knows really well how to race around Hungaroring, so we'll be expecting him to be moving up the order definitely in the race. As we mentioned, nearly 4.4 kilometer long track and nearly 30 cars on the grid, so the track will be really busy when the going gets green. We have Michal Makeš, who was really very fast in the pre-season testing and preparations. So we'll see in a few minutes how everything goes for the first race. Let's remind ourselves we'll be racing for 25 minutes plus the remainder of the last lap. And the top 10 drivers will be awarded with points with the same key that the points are awarded in, let's say, Formula 1 racing. So 25 points up for grabs for the race winner. And we are racing down into turn 1. Pavel Gelner from pole, from Petr Fulin into first turn, and Petr Fulin taking the inside line to jump into first. So Petr Fulin battling Pavel Gelner into the second turn of the circuit. Petr Fulin leading the race. That was a brilliant maneuver down the inside of Pavel Gelner. And we also have Josef Záruba, who's trying to work his way up around the outside of turn 2. So let's take a look again at the start. Pavel Gelner with maybe a little bit more wheel spin than he needed. There were some cars in the wall already after a few meters of the race. And Petr Fulin, he managed a nice clean overtaking maneuver. Pavel Gelner gave him maybe way too much space on the inside of the first corner. So Pavel Gelner lost the lead in the opening stages of the race, but he is managing to hold on to second at least. Josef Záruba third. He moved himself up into P3 in front of Joachim Galaš. Bartek Mirecký P5, then Michal Makeš. He started really well from P10. Then we have David Němček. He lost out a little bit on the opening lap of the race. So we are driving with Joachim Galaš in P4 in his Mercedes AMG GT, up through the last corners onto the start and finish straight. Joachim Galaš P4. He will definitely be a podium contender in the season. Definitely even trying to fight for victories. Petr Fulin leading the first race after the opening lap. So Petr Fulin being our race leader in race 1 of 2020. Bartek Mirecký following Joachim Galaš really closely. It's a Mercedes against Lamborghini. Petr Fulin definitely trying to open his gap, and there's somebody crashed on the outside of turn 3. So let's take a look a little bit lower down the order. Gabriela Jilková managed a really great getaway because she moved herself up into 12th after starting 19th, I believe. This is Jiří Navrátil against René Martinek. Jiří Navrátil back in online racing after some years, and he says that maybe his best days are now long gone, so it took him quite a while to get himself up to speed with the best ones. Hopefully he'll be catching up during the season, and we'll see him improving massively. Bartek Mirecký 5th in front of Michal Makeš. A little nudge on the inside. Michal Makeš is trying to make some space for himself, but he'll be left with the outside line for the long last turn of the circuit, and he's got the ARC Bratislava Lamborghini on the inside as a result. That's David Němček. Michal Makeš very nearly lost his P6 after being, let's say, quite optimistic with his move on Bartek Mirecky. Makeš tried to make some space for himself, but then the other turn was not in favor of him, and this is David Vršecký in trouble on the opening lap of the race, probably even. David Vršecký, as we see, is 27th and therefore last. In 26th we have Jasmin Koloc, who's the teammate of David Vršecký. We should be having Tomáš Enge, the only Formula One driver from the Czech Republic in the history, on the grid, but this weekend at the Hungaroring he is being replaced by the daughter of Martin Koloc, Jasmin. She's currently 26th. Petr Fulín still leading the way after 5 minutes of racing action. 1:46.0, that's his last lap, and Petr Fulín definitely looking in a very good shape here at the Hungaroring. Already opening a 2-second gap from Pavel Gelner. Josef Záruba third from Joachim Galáš and Bartek Mirecky. This is also an interesting battle. We have Maťo Homola starting in his Lamborghini Huracan in those traditional yellow colors, or let's say yellow and rainbow colors of the ARC Bratislava team. And we are back with Petr Fulín in his Fulín Race Academy livery, or liveried Porsche 911. Well, some thought that the Porsche machines might not be that strong here in Hungary, but that is definitely not proving to be the truth, because the German cars are currently taking the first 2 spots from a Lambo and one Mercedes, and there's another Lamborghini. Well, 3 of them actually, from P5 to P7. Pavel Gelner also managing to open up a bit of a gap to his nearest rivals behind him, so he can definitely focus well on trying to catch up with Petr Fulín. And Joachim Galáš in between 2 Italian bulls, trying to fight Josef Záruba. He made a little mistake on the exit of the last corner, and Joachim Galáš has seen an opportunity and he's diving down the inside into turn 1. Joachim Galáš is moving himself back up into third that he lost right after start, so great stuff from Joachim Galáš. He's now P3 from Josef Záruba and Bartek Mirecky. He's leaving the 2 Lambos to decide this battle only between themselves. Definitely trying to disappear very quickly, but that's currently not the case. It's a great scrap for P3 and the last podium position in the first ever ESET iSERIES race. Bartek Mirecky taking a look on the inside on Josef Záruba, pushing him wide. Josef Záruba has to cut the chicane. He might need to give his position back to Bartek Mirecki, but arguably he was pushed out of the track. So Josef Záruba currently holding his position, definitely not giving up, and Bartek Mirecki is actually somewhere else to look right now, because he's being attacked by Michal Makeš and also David Němček. David Němček in the leading entry of ARC Bratislava. Currently P7 right behind Michal Makeš. And there's another Lambo right behind them. That is Filip Sládečka in P8. Filip Sládečka running for Sládečka Motorsport. David Němček trying another look on the inside on Michal Makeš, and this time successful. And this also allowed Filip Sládečka through. So Michal Makeš has lost a couple of places. He was actually on course to battle even with Bartek Mirecki and Josef Záruba for P4, but currently he's way down in 8th after some unsuccessful battles with the other Lambos around. And this is another car that we'll see during the season. Miha Primožič driving for a Nissan, driving a Nissan GTR in P9. Miha Primožič competing for ASP Lemma Racing and being the sole Nissan entry in the field. In the meantime, we still have Petr Fulín leading the race comfortably. Look at that. Nearly 5 seconds of a gap. That's something that Petr Fulín has already managed to pull in front of Pavel Gelner. Yeah, the timings going bananas a little bit. So it's really hard to tell the gaps at some points. Okay, so Petr Fulín leading by some 4 seconds maybe from Pavel Gelner. Definitely leading comfortably. Ooh, and there's a big crash for Filip Sládečka. He spun his car, he lost it on the exit of the last corner and crashed into the pit wall. That's a concrete wall, that's very, very hard, and will not allow any mistakes, will not forgive anything. So Filip Sládečka, after a huge crash, but managing to keep on racing, but it seems that his car will be damaged quite significantly. So that's some rotten luck for Filip Sládečka, and definitely also not great for the second race, because as we said, the results of the first race will decide the order for the race number 2, and there is no reversing of the order on the starting grid. So quite often in motorsport these days we're used to let's say reversing the top 8 or top 10 of the standings after the first race into the second race, but nothing of that will happen in ESET iSERIES in 2020, which means that this mistake for Filip Sládečka will definitely be proving costly also for the race number 2. Maťo Homola making his way up the order, currently P14, but definitely way, way lower than we would expect him to be. And actually Maťo Homola was somewhere around the top 10 after qualifying. Definitely in the opening stages of the quali. So seeing him 14th is a bit of a surprise, I've got to say. Now he's trying to move on Karel Wittke. Karel Wittke letting him through in the last corner. So we've passed the halfway mark of the first race, and we've got one of the Beamers running wide. That is the M6 machine from Munich. That could be either Tomáš Liedl or Gregor Žigo, I suppose. So this is Pavel Gelner, still distant second. So let's take a look at this scrap for 6th between David Němček and Michal Makeš. And Makeš glued to the diffuser of the ARC Bratislava car. And that typical Lambo sound in the Huracan of Michal Makeš. Another 2 Lambos right in front of this pairing. We have Bartek Mirecky in front of Josef Záruba, and Josef Záruba is trying to get back in front of Bartek Mirecky, and he's just succeeded. So it seems that Josef Záruba was overtaken by Bartek Mirecky a while ago, and now Josef Záruba managed to move himself back up into 4th. There was another scrap in turn 2, another swap of places. Bartek Mirecky tried it again really hard on the inside, but succeeded only for a few seconds. Josef Záruba back in front of him currently. So a quartet of Lambos from B4 to B7, and behind them Miha Primožič in his Nissan GTR. Then we have Tom Beghuyse, who is racing for Křenek Motorsport in the leading Ferrari 488. That's the first of the Maranello machines on the grid. The other one being Vani Fink-Boner, also racing for Křenek Motorsport. But we actually do not have Fink-Boner in the race this time out. Anyway, then it's Filip Sládečka in his damaged Lamborghini completing the top 10, and there's another great battle between Lambos on the start-finish straight. Michal Makeš trying his luck yet again to move himself up in front of David Němček, but can't make it stick. He's having a look on the inside into 2, and both running side by side into turn 3. That's very dramatic, and this time Michal Makeš manages to stay in front of David Němček. So it actually looked quite innocent at the beginning. We had Michal Makeš just having a look on the inside, but then he managed to find some gap on the inside and squeeze through. Josef Záruba cutting the chicane yet again, and Michal Makeš making another place on Bartek Mirecky. So Michal Makeš moving up into 5th, relegating Bartek Mirecky down to 6th. David Němček trying to have a look left and right, and he definitely has to start watching his mirrors, because they are now full of Miha Primožič in his GTR. Oh, another Beamer. Wrong way up. That was one of the Z4s. That should be Gregor Žigo in his Trevor Racing car. Enjoying some bad luck in his 24th position. Petr Fulín in the meantime leading the race comfortably. When Miha Primožič trying his luck down the inside. He learned how to do this watching Michal Makeš on the last lap, and he was pushed by David Němček and spun into the barrier. That was a nasty crash for Miha Primožič. So Miha Primožič, who moved himself up into 7th, was then spun by the Slovakian driver after leaving the track on the outside of turn 3 and then kissing the barrier heavily on the other side of the road. So that's some really bad luck for Miha Primožič, but it seems that he's managing to stay 8th. This is Joachim Galáš overtaking Gregor Žigo, but already lapping the Slovakian man. We have Pavel Gelner still comfortably in P2. Definitely not closing down on Petr Fulín, but still having enough of a cushion in front of Joachim Galáš in 3rd. So the whole top 4 is separated by big margins, which means that there are no overtakes to be had anytime soon. Maťo Homola. Still working his way up the field. Now trying his luck on Keke Platter into the first corner. And this looked almost too easy. That was some textbook stuff from Maťo Homola on the Audi. So Maťo Homola currently 11th and only one position now from the points. But there are only 4 minutes left on the clock. And it seems there's Gregor Žigo trying to take another fight after being lapped, because that's definitely not Tom Beghuyser attacking David Němček, and it's also not Miha Primožič. So that was an interesting battle in which Gregor Žigo should not be, because he's already a lap down on the other cars, but enjoying his time in Hungary and also wanting to say something into the fights for top spots. Petr Fulín leading the way from Pavel Gelner, Joachim Galáš in 3rd, Josef Záruba currently in P4, opening a bit of a gap on the other Lambos of Michal Makeš, Bartek Merecký and David Němček. Still, this is the most interesting scrap within the top 10. These are the closest gaps that we have there. Though it seems it could also be very tight between Miha Primožič and Tom Beghuyser in the fight for P8. Michal Makeš into the chicane, following his Michanek Motorsport ACCR teammate. And Petr Fulín completely unchallenged in this race, entering what will probably be the penultimate lap of the race. 1 minute 50 left on the clock. That will be really very close and will cross the start-finish line again I believe, a few seconds from home, which means that Petr Fulin should be able to enter another lap after this one. Well, he definitely has enough of a gap to try and slow down a bit and already close the race after this lap, but that might be risking too much, and there's probably no reason for that because Petr Fulin has been dominating all the way through, so taking another lap should be maybe the easier option for him. Joachim Galash comfortably in P3, also unchallenged from behind, from the quartet of the Lambos, driven by Záruba, Makeš, Merecky and Němček. Then we have Primožič and Beckhuyser quite close to one another, and then Filip Sládečka completing the top 10. Maťo Homola in the meantime managed to close the gap to Filip Sládečka, basically half it from what we saw last time out we checked. This is Tom Beckhuyser driving really close behind Miha Primožič. Being a little bit more wayward and even kissing Miha Primožič from the back and sending him outside the track, but waiting to let him go again. So Petr Fulin now on the last lap of the race. Petr Fulin still leading the way more than comfortably. Last 4.3 kilometers for him to run around. And it seems that there's a big trouble for Miha Primožič yet again, and he's kissing the barrier again in this race, and that was another heavy impact for Miha Primožič. We can take a look at that again. Some dramatic pirouettes on the start-finish straight. Luckily, other drivers managed to avoid him. That was another dramatic moment for Primožič after being overtaken by Tom Beckhuyser for P8. And that means that Filip Sládečka should be moving up into 9th and Maťo Homola into 10th. But currently we have Sládečka down in 11th. And that should allow Keke Platzer into P10 and into the points positions. So we'll take a look at that after the race, because we are now with Petr Fulin, who is completing the last lap of the race. And Petr Fulin dominating the opening race of the 2020 ESET iSERIES season. He didn't put a foot wrong. Managed to overtake Pavel Gelner into the first turn, and now Petr Fulin wins the opening round of the 2020 ESET iSERIES. Pavel Gelner, after taking pole, not quite making the job in the race, finishing second. Joachim Galash opening the season with a podium finish, so great job for him in P3. And we have Josef Záruba as the leading Lamborghini in P4. From Michal Makeš, Bartek Merecky, David Němček down in 7th, or maybe even 8th, because no, this is Maťo Homola. This is the teammate of David Němček. Tom Beckhuyser finishing 8th, and Maťo Homola, after playing catch-up all the way through the race, finishing in P9, so great job for the Slovakian driver. Keke Platzer taking the last point for 10th, and that means that Filip Sládečka was pushed outside the top 10 in the closing stages of the race and finishes 11th. And we also have David Vršecký, for whom the race was not so lucky this time out, and he actually left his car on the outside of turn 3. But right now we are switching to Czech for the interview, and then we'll translate later on. Takže Davide, zdravíme ze studia po prvním závodě ESET iSERIES. Vypadá to, že tenhle ten závod úplně nebyl z těch šťastnějších.
No, zrovna jsme teďka, volal mi Tomáš, že bychom, ptal jsem jaký to je, říkám, doufám, že náš start v reální GT3 je o malinko lepší. Takže ten závod pro mě nebyl úplně dlouhý, no, já jsem se nezařadil ani 5.
Co se tam vlastně stalo? To bylo snad hned v úvodním kole ten problém.
Bylo to hned na cílovce, já jsem jenom viděl nějakého Mercedesa natočenýho, přede mnou se natočil a vzal prostě do dveří na bok, takže já jsem neměl v podstatě moc kam jet a byla z toho velká čepice. No.
Tak to je velká smula, to znamená, ale v tom druhém závodě to bude velká stíhačka, tak těšíte se aspoň na tu?
Rozhodně doufám, že bude další pro mě. No. Takže bude to zezadu, no, tak uvidíme, jak to půjde a se budu snažit si to užít, co to půjde.
A co zatím obecně onlineové závodění a GT3?
Tak samozřejmě my si zvykáme na ten post toho simulátoru, kde se snažíme jakoby navnímat ty věmy, ne z toho z té reálné jízdy, ale z toho, jak prostě se sedí, prostě jak přes volant v podstatě. Je to trošičku jiný než v tom reálu, samozřejmě zmáčknu tlačítko a mám nový auto, takže je to trošičku jiný. No. Takže jsem říkal, v reálném závodě, když to klouzne a člověk to srovná, je nadšený, že nerozbil auto, na simulátoru je naštvaný, že má zkažený nejrychlejší kolo.
Každopádně moc děkuji za rozhovor a přeju mnohem víc štěstí a zábavy do toho závodu číslo 2.
Jo, děkuji moc.
So that was David Vershetzky. Unfortunately for him, the first race of online racing for him didn't last very long because he was involved in one of the crashes on the opening lap and basically only managed to move his machine into a third corner where he had to where he had to surrender. Definitely, it's been interesting for him trying online racing because it's something very different from real world racing where you can feel the G-forces in the car. Also, he's used to way different machinery from his truck racing career, so also the sitting position is way different, and now feeling everything through the steering wheel is definitely a lot of a difference. Plus also after crashing you can just refresh the screen and start all over again. That's something that cannot happen in the real world, so we wished him best of luck for the race too, and we hope that we'll see more action from him very soon. So that was the first race of the season. Let's take a look once again on the standings. Petr Fulín dominating the opening race of the season from Pavel Gelner, the pair switching positions on the opening turn of the race, and then from then on Petr Fulín was never challenged. Joachim Galáš opening the season with third and with a podium finish, so good job for him. Then we have a quartet of Hurricanes, the Lambos, Josef Záruba fourth, Michal Makeš fifth, and then Bartek Mirecký and David Němček driving for the ARC Bratislava, and his teammate Maťo Homola managed to move into the top 10 as well. So Maťo Homola ninth, between them that's Tom Beghäuser with his Ferrari in P8, and the last points position for Keke Platzer in P10, and we will now see the best moments of the first race of the season. So let's take a look again at what happened in the first race of the year. This was the battle for P3 between Joachim Galáš and then Josef Záruba. That was the decisive move for podium, Joachim Galáš, and that was his work that moved him into third. Miha Primožič was then on the tail of the battling Lambos, and he was trying to find some luck and move himself a little bit further up the order, but that then didn't materialize in the end because he was involved in a series of crashes. Petr Fulín led the way, unchallenged as we said, and we also had some nice overtaken being performed by Maťo Homola, who showed us which corners allow for overtaking on Hungaroring. For example, here a move on Karol Wittke into the last corner. And that's already the scrap between Josef Záruba and Bartek Mirecky. Bartek Mirecky tried several attempts on Záruba and his 4th position, but Záruba managed to stay ahead. And in the end didn't allow Bartek Mirecky into anything else. David Němček battling hard with Michal Makeš. That was another interesting battle among the quartet of the Lambos. Some more overtaken further up the order between Záruba and Mirecky. But this was the time where Michal Makeš started to move up a bit more, while David Němček fell down into 7th. Josef Záruba found himself on the incorrect bit of tarmac in the chicane a couple of times in the race, but managed to get away with it. This was the dramatic battle between Miha Primožič and David Němček. Primožič trying to disturb the quartet of Lambos, but being punished for that. After a little nudge from David Němček and a spin into the barriers that was not the last one for him in the race. He then also kissed the pit wall very hard, but we'll probably see that a little bit later. Joachim Galáš had maybe a bit more fun than he expected, overtaking some lapped cars. This was Maťo Homola moving up again, this time on Kekeplatzer. And these two, in the end, took the last 2 points positions. And so we are ready for the race number 2. Petr Fulín, after dominating the first race, will be handed pole position. So it's again the duo of Porsches on the front row of the grid, but this time the other way around. So Pavel Gelner on the left-hand side, and Pavel Gelner might now try the same thing that Petr Fulín pulled on him in the previous race. And we are racing Petr Fulín from pole, but this time it seems that Pavel Gelner does manage a better getaway. So Pavel Gelner immediately moving into the first corner, holding on to the better line, and Petr Fulín having more trouble with some other guys. That is Josef Záruba, who was nicely aggressive into the first corner, and he also moved himself up and through in front of Petr Fulín, but this time Josef Záruba in the second corner being a little bit more on the outside than he needs to be, but still holding on to second. So let's take a look at the start once again. Petr Fulín spun his wheels a little bit more than he needed to, and he allowed Pavel Gelner into first. That could actually prove to be the decisive move of the race, as we saw in the race 1 when Petr Fulín got the job done into the first corner. So Pavel Gelner leading the race from Josef Záruba, and Petr Fulín currently in P3, but with the speed that he showed in the first race, this should be maybe somewhat more interesting. We have one of the cars, and that should be Tom Beghäuser. Way wide on the outside. Tom Beghäuser trying to get back on the racetrack, managing so. Bartek Mirecky in another scrap of the Lamborghinis, this time being 5th on the road behind Michal Makeš. Right behind him we have David Němček, and also that could be Filip Sládečka behind David Němček. Pavel Gelner leading the way, but Petr Fulín already overtaking Josef Záruba and taking second from him. So Petr Fulín showing that he will not be satisfied with P3, and he will definitely not be standing still. Josef Záruba trying to fight his way back into second. This will be very, very difficult. Petr Fulín currently using a little bit too much road in the opening corners of the circuit. but running away with it. We have Záruba third, Makeš fourth, Mirecký fifth, Sládečka sixth. So Filip Sládečka overtook David Němček, and we have a new name into the top 10. That's Jan Černý after a good start, and he moved his Porsche into the top 10. Jan Černý currently 8th from Maťo Homola and Keki Platzer, which means that we have somebody falling down and out of the top 10, which should be Tom Beghuyse, currently in 13th with his Ferrari, and also Miha Primožič after the bad luck in the closing stages of the first race, currently only 15th, but right in front of Gabriela Jilková. We didn't really see much of her in the first race. And this is Tom Beghuyse slotting in front of Jakub Knoll, and who's also probably had bad luck is Joachim Galaš, because he was third on the grid, but right now he's only down into 18th, so something must have happened to Joachim Galaš on the opening lap of the race, because Galaš is now way further down the order. So that's some bad luck for him. Pavel Gelner leading the race from Petr Fulín, already managing to open the gap, but we saw how quick Petr Fulín was in the first race. So let's see if he can reel Pavel Gelner back in and shoot himself back into the fight for another victory here in Hungary. That would be a victorious double for Petr Fulín if he can make that happen. But there's still a lot of work to do in front of him if he wants to do so. So, Záruba third from Michal Makeš in fourth. Then Bartek Mirecký, Filip Sládečka, David Němček, Jan Černý, Maťo Homola and Keki Platzer completing the top 10. David Vršecký seemingly surviving the opening lap this time out, and currently running 23rd. There he is, David Vršecký, the Bagiera zero mileage racing driver, already enjoying a better race this time out. Running 23rd behind Matěj Kácovský. Petr Fulín running second, and it looks to me that he's chipping tenths away from the gap of Pavel Gelner. He's not closing down very quickly, but we still have some 19 minutes racing left on the clock. Šimon Ladňák versus Gabriela Jilková. That's a nice little fight for P15. That was a little nudge from behind. And Gabriela Jilková dancing through the third corner, following Šimon Ladňák. Sorry, the other way around. It's Gabriela Jilková running away from Šimon Ladňák in 15th. Which means that she swapped cars from pre-season. And right now Gabriela Jilková racing for Your Speed team with an Audi R8. So, another five-way battle among the Lambos from third all the way down to 7th. And this is Tom Beghuyse right behind Karol Wittke. That's a fight for 11th. And Tom Beghuyse making a piece of cake of that. So Tom Beghuyse now in 11th, which means that all is ready for him to enter the top 10. There's only the small matter of closing down the gap on Keki Platzer in 10th. And we are looking at David Němeček, who's currently last of the Lambo group in P7, following Filip Sládečka, 147.4 for Filip Sládečka on the last lap. Behind them, that's Jan Černý in P8 in his Porsche, but this scrap looks to be very, very closely fought. Filip Sládečka 6th. There's no way to get past into the chicane this time out. As we said, it's a tight and twisty track, so hard to navigate those fast GT3 machines around the Mickey Mouse track of Hungaroring. They would definitely be probably happier on more open tracks. For example, like Brno, which will close this season as a finale at the end of June. We have some interesting circuits coming up, and it's the Austrian Red Bull Ring. And we have one of the Mercedes spinning into the last sector of the track after a fight with Gabriela Jilková. That must have been Šimon Ladňák or Joachim Galáš. Yes, that's Šimon Ladňák. More bad luck for the Polish driver from GT2 Motorsport. This is Jirka Navrátil following Tomáš Lídl. Jiří Navrátil enjoying his online racing return, although it is proving quite difficult for him pace-wise, but he's definitely trying hard. And right now he's trying to overtake Tomáš Lídl for 18th. Joachim Galáš right in front of Gabriela Jilková. This is almost a deja vu for Gabriela Jilková, because she already made some easy work out of one of the Mercs a few laps ago. And this is Michal Makeš moving past Bartek Mirecky into 4th. There must have been a scrap between them two. Michal Makeš defending from Mirecky. This is allowing Josef Záruba to pull a bit of a gap in front of them. And really, Bartek Mirecky is glued to the rear spoiler of Michal Makeš. We are now entering the start-finish straight yet again, nearing the halfway mark of the race. So, any attempts into first corner? Yes, there is. Bartek Mirecky being really long under braking. And not only did he not manage to get himself in front of Michal Makeš, but he fell right into the clutches of David Němeček. David Němeček kissing his Lambo a few times in the second corner. But nothing more than that. Filip Sládečka watching all the action from 7th in his white Lamborghini. And Petr Fulín leading the race. So there was a change of positions between Petr Fulín and Pavel Gellner yet again. Pavel Gellner was leading the race from the start after a very nice getaway and overtaking into the first corner, but it seems that Petr Fulín managed to get back on pace and he hunted Pavel Gellner and then managed to get in front of his countryman and taking the lead again. So around the halfway mark of the race. Petr Fulín is heading for a double, and Filip Sládečka, more bad luck for him. Another contact as in the first race of the season. And Filip Sládečka spinning around, falling down the order. Filip Sládečka currently slotting somewhere around 10th. He should be 9th behind Matej Homola. Yes, he is, and he has, I believe, Tom Beckhuizer right behind him. This is Jan Černý, benefiting from the bad luck of his opponent. And he's trying to trouble David Němček at the end of the first sector of the track, but this is no place for overtaking. Into 4th, it's really very hard to get alongside somebody else. Well, this is being a bit of a crazy fight for Jan Černý, because he's got 2 day-glow yellow Lambos around him, one in front, one in the back. So, Tom Beckhuizer from Keki Platze and Miha Primožič in his GTR, showing us that you can actually overtake into the chicane. But this is not a done deal yet. There was no space left on the track for Miha Primožič. He was punched out of the track, and in the end did manage to get himself in front of Keki Platze. Karel Wittke in 13th from Joachim Galáš. That's the battle that we are watching right now. Joachim Galáš, after bad luck on the opening lap of the race, currently 14th. So let's get back into some top action, and it's Jan Černý making a mistake entering the start-finish straight. Jan Černý losing a place to Matej Homola. He exited the last corner side first. That's definitely not the fastest way around, and onto the start-finish straight, which means that Jan Černý lost a place to Matej Homola. And we have another fight coming up, because Michal Makeš has just managed to reel in Josef Záruba, his teammate, both racing for Mičánek Motorsport. And Michal Makeš already troubling Josef Záruba very much. He is all over the back of his teammate. So, moments of great pressure for Josef Záruba, the man with whom we spoke after quali. So far doing great job this season, fighting inside the top 5 in both races. Just missing out on the podium in race 1 to Joachim Galáš, but this time Galáš is way further down the order, which means that Josef Záruba is 3rd. But it will definitely not be easy. Keki Platze following Karel Wittke in 13th. Behind them there's Gabriela Jilková in the other Audi R8. Interesting battle between 2 German brands, and look at David Vršecký still making ground after the unlucky first race, and currently entering the second 10, let's say, second decade of the starting grid. But this is a nice 4-way battle. Oh, that was a problem for David Vršecký, and he fell right behind Matěj Kácovský, entering the start and finish straight. It seems to me that David Vršecký is now having lots of trouble. We didn't really see that, but David Vršecký fell way down and way back But we are watching Petr Fulín leading the race. Not so dominantly as in the first race, but definitely Petr Fulín is being fast enough to run away from Pavel Gelner, not allowing him into any chance, into any overtaking opportunity. David Vršecký really lost some ground on Matěj Kácovský, and Matěj Kácovský managed to move ahead of Tomáš Lídl right now into 20th. They're both behind René Martinek and Jiří Navrátil. So that was a short view. Ooh, and some trouble for Jiří Navrátil at the far end of the circuit. So two Slovakian Lambos in a close formation. David Němček in 6th, Maťo Homola in 7th. Maťo Homola has been enjoying quite a lot of online action in the past weeks, so he's definitely gained a lot of experience already, and he is definitely among the best currently on the Czech and Slovak racing scene. But having said that, the opening round of the 2020 ESET iSERIES not really catching him with the best of luck, and he had to move his way up into the top 10 in the first race, and right now being more towards the bottom half of it, whilst the Czech Lambos are way further up the field, still battling for third. Yeah, Záruba holding on to third in front of Michal Makeš. We also have Bartek Merecký in 5th, trying to close the gap right down, but not being entirely successful lately. David Němček in a fight with Maťo Homola into the first corner, and it seems that Maťo Homola is managing to get ahead. Both yellow Lambos side by side into second. So who's going to come out on top? It seems that Maťo Homola has just overtaken David Němček. A big Slovakian fight for P6, and Maťo Homola being victorious in it. Maťo Homola now being the leading Lambo of the ARC Bratislava team. He's already gifted his Lambo a bit of damage, so if you watch both cars from the front, you see that there is a bit of a gap under the bonnet of the leading yellow Lambo right now. That's a new vent that Maťo Homola managed to open for himself. Sadly, this will not help with cooling the engine down, because that's at the basically in the middle, so only creating a bit of a draft there. David Vršecký following Tomáš Lídl very closely. Another great battle for 21st. David Vršecký enjoying himself on the opening weekend of the series. Definitely way further down than we would like to see him, but still showing us some great on-track action. Into the chicane following Tomáš Lídl really closely, forcing him into a mistake. And he will try to capitalize on that, but it's really hard to do so in these twisty bends in the middle sector of Hungaroring. And that's another fierce battle between Tom Beghuyser and Miha Primožič for the last point of the race. So there is a great deal of motivation to be had in this fight. Miha Primožič currently 11th, and also having to defend from really hungry Joachim Galash. He's definitely been trying to move himself up into the top 10, and now trying it on the inside, but not quite managing to get ahead. This is really tricky for Miha Primožič, because he would like to choose a line, but that's being made much worse and harder by Tom Beckhuizer, driving really in front of Joachim Galash, who's now pushing Miha Primožič again, but letting him go. So that was a nice piece of sportsmanship from Joachim Galash. Miha Primožič on the receiving end of the bumps and crashes this weekend. So we are entering one of the last laps of the race, and again it's Záruba from Makeš in third. This will be really interesting. I think that Petr Fulín still has enough time to enter another lap, so this should be the penultimate round of the race. There we go, with Petr Fulín leading the race again, and only managing to escape even more from Pavel Gelner. There we go, with Pavel Gelner in second. He was quite busy lapping some cars. Oh, and the lapped cars, I think, are being hunted by the pairing of the Czech Lambos. Hopefully they will not speak into the battle for third, and it will be fair and square. So, dying seconds of the race, 10 seconds to go. Will this be enough for Petr Fulín to win the race already or enter another lap? This will be really close, but we might be looking at the finish of the race. I believe so. Petr Fulín entering one more lap in the end. So that was really tight with the timing system at the track. And this is the important fight for third. Bartek Merecký getting himself into the fight, but currently overtaking Josef Záruba, because he already lost the place to Michal Makeš. So big changes on the last lap of the race. Josef Záruba, no, he still is third. Ooh, there are two cars really getting in the way of the battle for third. Two lap machines, but they are now out of the way. So Josef Záruba is third. He did not lose the place, although the timing screen may have suggested it so a few moments ago. So Záruba, but now from Bartek Merecký. Michal Makeš made a small error, and he let Bartek Merecký into fourth. But we will be following Petr Fulín, who is taking another victory in Hungary. There he is, Petr Fulín, in the penultimate corner of the lap, climbing up through the last bend onto the start and finish straight. Petr Fulín has done it, and he remains unchallenged for the entirety of the opening weekend of the 2020 ESET iSERIES. Petr Fulín victorious in race 2 as well. Josef Záruba managing to hold on to third. So great job for Josef Záruba, who will climb up onto the podium, now having a friendly crash with his teammate. Michal Makeš finishing 5th, right behind Bartek Merecký. And we have Pavel Gelner in 2nd. So Petr Fulín winning the 2nd race of the season, and being unchallenged. This is Gabriela Jilková finishing outside the points yet again. So not really the best of weekends to open the season with. And David Vershecký completing the top 20 currently. So Petr Fulín winning the race from Pavel Gelner once again. This time around it is Josef Záruba finishing third from Bartek Merecký and Michal Makeš. The other drivers finishing the race as well. We should have another interview lining up shortly. Let's see if we can get good connection and get hold of the double victor from the first weekend. We would definitely like to hear from the dominant man of the opening round of the 2020 ESET iSERIES. That was some great on-track action to start the season with. Season that will be contested over 5 race weekend, let's not forget, every other Sunday, and in a fortnight we'll be moving to, although virtually we'll be moving to Austria, to the famous track of Red Bull Ring, which should see some more dramatic action, some more overtaking, definitely offering more opportunities than Hungaroring, but already for a track that is so notoriously difficult to overtake on as Hungaroring, we saw lots of action this time out, so that's only the best invitation for the round 2 in 2 weeks' time. So let's see the best of the action actually in race number 2. So we had Pavel Gelner returning the favor to Petr Fulín on the opening lap of race 2 and overtaking him into the first corner, taking the lead of the race. Josef Záruba then third. We had bad luck for Joachim Galáš, who fell down to 18th. This was a nice scrap between Jakub Knoll and Tom Beckhuyser, who was moving himself up the order in his Ferrari. Gabriela Jilková being kissed from behind by Šimon Ladňák. This was Tom Beckhuyser in another battle, this time making it through and past Karol Wittke. And then we saw lots of Lambo action as well. And again, just like in the first race, so this was David Němček overtaking or trying to overtake Filip Sládečka into 6th, but not really making it stick. Pavel Gelner was leading the race. This was another battle in which Šimon Ladňák lost it and fell down the order. Gabriela Jilková was followed by Joachim Galáš. This was a great fight between Lambos again. This time Michal Makeš being in front of Bartek Merecký. And for some time moving himself up into racing action with his teammate Josef Záruba. This was more bad luck for Filip Sládečka, who spun in the last corner after a very close and very aggressive fight with David Němček, with Bartek Merecký. This was the scrap between Keki Platzer and Miha Primožič. Primožič, as we said, yet again on the receiving end of all the fighting and of all the hitting. Petr Fulín moved himself up into first, away from the cameras, overtaking Pavel Gelner and taking the lead of the race, and then being victorious yet again. So we'll now switch again to Czech and we'll translate the interview right after we finish with it. Petře, zdravíme k tobě do obýváku a moc gratulujeme. Tohle byla naprosto dominantní podívaná a dominantní závody na Hungaroringu. Slyšíme se? Tak. Počkáme, až se všecko spraví. Okay, so let's hope that we manage to get back in connection with Petr Fulín. We are experiencing some technical problems, but let's not get bogged down with that. Okay, so Petr Fulín winning the race again from Pavel Gelner and Josef Záruba. Bartek Mirecky fourth, Michal Makeš fifth. Maťo Homola, this time out being the leading pair of the Slovakian Lambos in front of his teammate David Němček, and then Jan Černý, Filip Sládečka and Miha Primožič completing the top 10. Joachim Galáš, after the podium finish in the first race, now missing out on points. Tom Beghäuser and Gabriela Jilková right behind him, and then also Kiki Platzer and Šimon Ladňák. We had some greater names way down the order. Jakub Knoll, the ESET series champion, only 16th. Jiří Navrátil finishing 18th. So, we are back in connection with Petr Fulín, so let's hear from the man. Takže ještě jednou, Petře, zdravíme a moc gratulujeme. Tohle byly opravdu dominantní výkony na úvod sezóny tady na Hungaroringu.
Ahoj Pavle, já si myslím, že překvapit, protože to si se tenkrát ještě jmenoval Píta a jezdil si s náma, je to tak 10 let na R Factoru, že ta role ti určitě výborně jde, já jsem koukal na to, je to fajn, jak to děláte, je to super.
Tak to byly dominantní výkony v obou závodech. Vlastně jste si to tam krásně dávali s Pavlem do první zatáčky. V tom prvním závodě si ho tam překvapil ty a potom ti to ve druhém závodě vrátil, ale ty ses dokázal dostat zpátky před něj. Takže vypadá to, že zatím tu rychlost opravdu máš.
Ne, já jsem si oba dva závody užil, samozřejmě byl reakce a potom o nějakém chytkem, to se podařilo. Pavel, náš týmový inženýr, jede vlastně za náš druhý tým, takže tam si myslím, že stoku jsem sázel, že protože já mám takový handicap, že abych se vlastně odtratí ani kapota, vlastně, jo. A ona ta hra má jenom to prostřední krátko, takže jako já jsem vždycky v tom kontaktu tím jako radši nechával na tom vnitřku místo, protože nikdy člověk viděl, jestli tam ten čumák je.
Čili to vypadá, že to nakonec byly souboje, řekněme, v rukavičkách a skvělý způsob, jak otevřít sezónu. Jaké jsou teda výhledy na ty zbývající podniky, na tuhletu sezónu? A jak si vlastně užíváte všichni ve vašem týmu, respektive ve vašich týmech, tohle závodění?
Tak my už polepujeme poslední dodávky a 12 tunky už mám co a tohle je rukavice. Tady jsou si všichni rovní auta nebo přibližně brandu. Hodnota, kdy se hlídá vlastně přešlapit 4 na čáru, to je taky jako fajn. Člověk se připojí, nemusí mít žádný drahý motorhome, strávit čas od čtvrtka. Takže ono to samozřejmě něco má. Lhal bych, že nám nechybí to reálně a samozřejmě těšíme se, až ten stav na adrenalinu nebo toho potur 20 opustí tu křeslo, tak řekl bych, že všechno je ten tlak, že ten mentální vlastně jako všichni jedně rychle, hodně, v Imole bylo, teď bych řekl, že se to trochu překlopí, nebo překlopilo, tak to je jako zajímavý, že to je fajn a je skvělý, že člověk nabourá na to nový pneumatiky, žádná prakticky, nic to nestojí, je to skvělý.
Moc děkujeme za poznatky z těch prvních dvou závodů a taky z virtuálního závodní. Přejeme samozřejmě co nejlepší úspěchy do zbytku sezóny a hlavně si to pořádně užívejte.
Děkuju, na viděnou za 14 dní.
So that was the interview with Petr Fulín. He was definitely happy after being so dominant on the opening weekend of the season and having some nice battles with basically his teammate. They had to be a little bit more cautious with battling each other because there have been some technical glitches that may have meant that if the battle was too intense, it could have ended up in a crash, which they definitely didn't want to. They definitely enjoy racing in the virtual world after not being able to do so in the real world. It's definitely a little bit different, as we also heard from David Vršecký from the real world, because you don't have all the feedback from the car, but also it's not so expensive if you crash the car. And so far it's been great fun. And they have been up to speed, so they are definitely looking forward to the rest of the season. That was the man that dominated the opening round of the season at Hungaroring, and we'll see each other in the 2 weeks' time in Austria.